Western region. The 21 people on board have been rescued. We'll be touching base with the community and the armed forces to understand exactly what happened. Also coming up, Jubilee House and Parliament House lock horns over LGBTQI bill, the assent of which has become controversial after the House of Parliament passed it. And later on Eyewitness News, Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, orders the ECG to issue a doomsday timetable by next week following continuous power fluctuations. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and many other stories on Eyewitness News. And in business,
Ghana Revenue Authority extends deadline for filing and payment of withholding taxes for February to March 2024.
That's in 50 minutes from the Citi Business Desk. Eyewitness News is live across Ghana on a host of affiliate stations, including in the Western region, which we'll be going to in a bit, Premier 100.5 FM in Takoradi, Sky Power 93.5 FM in Takoradi, and Beach 105.5 FM also in Takoradi. In the Bono region, we are on Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyani. Ahafo region, we are on Hammers 106.5 FM in Goso. In the Ashanti region, we are on Alpha Radio 104.9 FM in Kumasi. In the same region, we are on Orange 107.9 FM in Kumasi. In the Volta region, we are on Global 105.1 FM in Ho, Adanu 107.7 FM in Adakluwaya. In the Northern region, we are on Diamond 93.7 FM in Tamale. In the Upper West region, we are on Westlink 88.1 FM in Laura. In the Upper East region, we are on Source 100.1 FM in Boko. In the Northeast region, we are on Scarp 101.3 FM in Nakpanduri. We are live on CityTube, that's on YouTube. We are on Facebook and we are interactive. Join us with your WhatsApp messages 0549 986 996. You can also send tweets using the hashtag Citi Newsroom. And on Point Blank tonight, my guest is the Director General of the National Communications Authority, that's the NCA, Dr. Joe Anoche. We'll talk about the challenges that you're having with the internet and the way out of that. But first, we start off with the helicopter crash that is reported, and the Ghana Armed Forces has issued a statement, which statement is signed by Brigadier General Agri Kwashi. He's the Director General in charge of Public Relations at the Ghana Armed Forces. And the statement says, Ghana Air Force helicopter makes emergency landing at Bonsokrom near Aguna Nkwanta. A Ghana Air Force helicopter with registration number GHF 696 at about 12:30 hours GMT on Tuesday, 19 March 2024, made an emergency landing within the general areas of Bonsokrom near Aguna Nkwanta in the Western region. The helicopter, which had on board 21 passengers made up of staff of the Ghana National Gas Company and air crew, were conducting routine offshore power line inspection of the Atuabo gas plant when the incident occurred. All passengers on board have been accounted for and there were no fatalities. However, they have been evacuated and are currently undergoing routine medical checkup. Meanwhile, preliminary assessments have commenced to ascertain the cause of the incident. More information to be released in due course. That's a statement signed by Brigadier General Agri Kwashi, who is the Director General in charge of Public Relations at the Ghana Armed Forces, speaking about the helicopter that crash landed. Now, the Armed Forces use the term emergency landing, but the general reportage we are seeing is that the helicopter crashed. In fact, the pictures that we are having from the scene, and I'm just looking at it now, which pictures we have published on our website. It has a picture of a helicopter, or a chopper if you want to use the American term, and it is somewhere in the bush, simply lying on its side. What I'm seeing from this angle of the shot that I have is a helicopter that is lying on its side, and the photo was taken from the bushes of somewhere the Agona Nkwanta area. That's what we have. We also have seen video of community members videoing the landing or the crashing of that chopper, which has also been circulated. Let's understand exactly what happened. Thomas Dazi is assembly member for Bonsokrom. He's joined us on the line. Thomas, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. Did you witness this crash landing or crashing yourself, or you gathered information from your community members? What do you know so far?
Thank you very much. Let me extend my greetings to your listeners. Good people of Bosokrum, in Himokrum, that's my lecturer area, and the good people of Hunter West. Yes, please. Actually, the incident happened around 1:30 p.m. this afternoon, and I was called by one of my community members. Then when we were there, we saw that it's true about what he said. Yeah, then we all tried to help with the help of the district police commander, BNI, and others. What they told me this, they saw a plane was about to fall in the community, but they realized that the plane just touched. So just a 10 meters away from the community, they saw it fall down in the bush. So they called me, we all right there. When we went there, we were able to rescue 3 people, that are 3 male. And in the course of that, we ride them to Josie Medical Center, that's a private hospital at our ground contract. So in the course of that, we also call on the National Fire Services and the Air Force team, that the rescue team also came to help to rescue the rest of the people. So in the course of that, we also rescued one person. He was unconscious. So they quickly rushed him to the ambulance, took him to Disco Hospital for treatment. And we also rescued a female that she was stable. And during that I have to also attend to, I'm also a health worker, I have to attend to work. So that is what happened. Actually, through the eyewitness, they were saying it was a tender strike, then causes that to the accident, the plane crash.
Was it raining?
Hello?
Was it raining? Did it rain there?
No, it wasn't raining. It was about to rain, but the tender strike, it wasn't raining.
Okay, so because they said thunder strike, so I was just asking whether maybe there was a rainstorm or something. So in total, we are told that 21 persons were on board and they've all been rescued. Does that number tally with what you and you know that your community members rescued?
We were for 3 before the rescue team came. We were able to rescue 3. Then we ran them to Josie. The military people came and he took them to 2, and we put 1 to Pragia to also bring them. So we took 3 people to Josie Medical Center. Then after the team also came, then also rescued 2. Then 1 was unconscious, so they quickly put him into the ambulance to Disco Government Hospital.
Okay, when you say that you rescued 3 and then others were rescued later, does it mean you left people in the craft as of the time you were taking 3 away?
I can't hear you well.
So my question is that you said that you rescued 3 and took them to the hospital, then the others were rescued later. My concern or question is, does it mean that as of the time you were taking the 3 people away, there were more people in the aircraft?
Actually, yeah, it could be that, because actually we don't know the total people, the people that they were there. We don't know the total number of the Air Force people, the military people. We don't know them. So the team also came around just to rescue them. So we found out they rescued 2, additional 2, making 5. As at the time that I was at the scene.
Do you know what's happening there now?
No. I'm at my workplace, and I don't know what has happened now.
Very well. Thank you so much. But do you also know whether when the craft was falling down or landing, it damaged any property on the ground or anybody was injured? Do you know?
Thank you, Roman. No, because the plane fell into the bush, and there wasn't any farming activity there. There's a bushy on the roadside. And so,
very well.
There wasn't any destroying of property.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
You're welcome.
So that's Thomas Dazi. He's assembly member for Bonsokrom. If you're just joining us, the news is that a military helicopter or Ghana Armed Forces The Ghana Air Force, specifically helicopter, made an emergency landing today at Bonsukrum near Aguna Nkwanta. Community members are reporting that it was a crash. The technical term used by the armed forces is that it was an emergency landing. You've heard the assemblyman there say that some of the persons were rescued. At least one person, she says, was unconscious. They took them to the hospital. The armed forces says all the persons are healthy. They are fine. Well, not they are fine, but it says that there were no fatalities. And so that's the information we have. You can go to our website, citynewsroom.com. We have more on that particular story. This Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Let's look at some other stories now. It has to do with the anti-LGBTQI bill, which has been passed by Parliament, but which is yet to get presidential assent. Eno has that story.
The Member of Parliament for Tamale South, Haruna Idrisu, says a letter from the Presidency on the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill is a monumental threat to Parliament and Ghana's democracy. The Office of the President, in a letter dated March 18, requested Parliament to refrain from sending the anti-gay bill to President Akufo-Addo for his assent. The decision, according to the Secretary to the President, Nana Bediatua Asante, stems from the acknowledgement of two pending applications for an order of interlocutory injunction before the Supreme Court. Speaking to journalists, Haruna Idrisu says the directive is a reflection of President Akufo-Addo's quest to dominate other organs of government.
Mental threat to Ghana's democracy and a monumental threat to Parliament as an institution. By Article 93, we are clothed with legislative authority and legislative mandate. This letter only reflects President Nana Addo Dankwa's quest of predominance over other organs of state. That is unacceptable, and that must be fought by all persons who love democracy and who cherish the principles and values of the 1992 Constitution. The framers of our Constitution endowed Ghana with separation of powers, the executive, the legislature, the judiciary. Division of powers. It endowed us that Parliament shall be responsible for lawmaking. President Nana Addo Dankwa, first of all, politically, what power does the President Secretary have writing to the Clerk of Parliament?
He also threatened to cite the President for a constitutional breach if he fails to communicate to Parliament on his decision on the bill within the 7-day period as stipulated by the Constitution.
It is not for the Attorney General to advise the President not to take any step. The Constitution dictates what the President should do. Assent to it or refer it back to Parliament with an explanation or to the Council of State. It didn't say he should refer to the Attorney General. Yes, Article 88 gives him a mandate. The Constitution is very clear. So what we want to do, and it's part of the matters I'll raise before Parliament, we must now know when the Parliament remit the bill to the President. And we will count 7 days. If 7 days have lapsed and he has not assented to, and he has not written back to Parliament, nor to the Council of State, will hold the President responsible for a constitutional breach, and he should know the legal, lawful, constitutional consequences of his action.
That was Member of Parliament for Tamale South, Haruna Idrisu.
He's a lawyer. Another lawyer in the House of Parliament represents the people of Boku Central. His name is Mahama Yariga. He's a former Minister of State. He's joined us on the line. Honorable, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you.
What's the exact position now? Has the bill been transmitted to the President for assent, or it is yet to leave the corridors of Parliament? Do you know the status of the bill?
Well, from the letter that the Secretary to the President, Mr. Asante Bediatou, has written, there was an effort to transmit the bill to the office of the President, in fact, to the President. And so I can say that there was an effort to transmit it to the office of the President. But they are the ones who I believe have refused to receive it or accept it.
I'm asking this because your colleague just said there that the President ought to act as a Constitution mandates within 7 days or face some legal action, which presupposes then that the bill currently is sitting at Jubilee House. I wanted to just be sure that that has happened. And now we are having this back and forth. What's the way out of it? The president, through the secretary, says he's restrained by multiple suits against this bill. He would want to see that the Supreme Court disposes of the suits before he can proceed on whether or not to sign it. He said he's been advised to act that way by his principal legal advisor, the Attorney General. Do you blame the president?
I will blame the president because the suit in the Supreme Court is seeking to restrain him from assenting to the bill. What he has done is to write to the Parliament saying the Parliament should not even attempt to transmit the bill. There is no interlocutory application before the Supreme Court seeking to restrain him from receiving a copy of the bill. There's no such application. So he should have received it. So for him to say that I will not receive it and Parliament should not attempt to transmit it because there is a suit in the Supreme Court is manifestly wrong. It betrays a man who already does not want to assent to the bill and is just looking for excuses and is making up obstacles in the way of the bill. That is what it betrays. Because the suit and the application that is before the court and the orders they are seeking are to restrain you from giving your assent to the bill. Then Parliament transmits the bill to you, then say, I will not take it. And don't even attempt to bring it to me because there is a suit in the Supreme Court. What is the suit about? It is to prevent you from assenting to the bill, not to receiving it from Parliament. So he has to receive it from Parliament. And then he has to now act on the advice of his Attorney General, which advice he might choose to communicate to us or to the rest of the country, but which advice he must make sure is consistent with the provisions of the Constitution. I'm a lawyer. I'm not going to advocate that anybody defies the Supreme Court because I'm in the Supreme Court seeking their orders in relation to other matters. If I didn't believe that they had the power to issue orders, I would not be there. So I'm not in a position to say, respect the Supreme Court, do not follow the orders of the Supreme Court. But what is actually before the Supreme Court? It is an application to restrain you from assenting to the bill. But what have you done? You have refused to accept a transmission of the bill by Parliament to yourself. And you are citing the application to restrain you from assenting to the bill as your reason. And I think that is clearly wrong.
So there's a view then that once the action has been commenced in the court, it automatically injuncts everybody and that the status quo ante must remain. Is that not what the president is ensuring happens by saying that do not even bring it to me so that we wait until the Supreme Court clears this matter?
He is not the one to tell Parliament that do not bring it to me. Parliament is the one to assess whether or not there is a suit in the Supreme Court that restrains it from transmitting the bill to the president for his assent. If they decide to defy the Supreme Court, it is Parliament that will suffer the legal consequence. The president does not suffer any legal consequence in just receiving a transmission of the bill by Parliament. He can receive it and he can still write to Parliament saying that I have received your bill and I see it is the bill in respect of which there is an application in the Supreme Court seeking to injunct me from giving my assent. And in view of the position of the law AYZ, I am going to act in this way or that other way. That is what the president should do. But to say to Parliament that don't even attempt to transmit this document to me because I think it is a document in respect of which there is an application in the Supreme Court, the president is very wrong.
The injunction application, is that not to restrain the Speaker and the Clerk to Parliament? And so what the President is simply doing is to draw the attention of the House in case House of Parliament may not have seen that injunction application, or remind him that you are stopped from going ahead?
The president is not the one to enforce the decisions of the Supreme Court.
But the president
in the manner in which he is seeking to do it.
But he can inform you and tell you that you are bad. Do not proceed.
I am saying that the president should receive the document. He can write to Parliament after he has received the document, and he can draw the attention of Parliament to the pendency of the suit if he thinks Parliament is unaware of the pendency of the suit. Strictly speaking, if they really know how to organize a presidency, what they will do is receive the document, acknowledge receipt of the document, draw attention to the matter, maybe even say that, he wants to seek the advice of the Attorney General in the matter or something of that sort. But I have a very strong reservation in relation to the decision not to even receive it, and then to jump into, writing to Parliament and then telling Parliament, don't even attempt to transmit it, when the Constitution is clear that when the bill is passed, it ought to be transmitted to you, and then when it is transmitted to you within a certain day, you have to either sign or not sign. You could have taken it and done what the Constitution says, which is refer it to the Council of State, refer the application injunction to the Council of State, attach all the documents, and say, look, I have received this. Council of State, can you advise me as to whether or not I should give my assent to this bill? Because that's what the Constitution says. Council of State can say, well, yeah, we've seen the legal issues in court and etc. Our advice to you is that you should not give your assent. Then he will write back to Parliament and say, well, I received it pursuant to the constitutional provisions. As the Constitution dictates, I have referred it to the Council of State because I don't think I want to sign it because there's a matter in court and the Council of State agrees with me on this matter, and so I'm sending it back to you. There are so many processes. Just follow the procedures laid out in the Constitution so that you are safe. As it is now, I don't believe that the steps the President has taken is consistent with the Constitution. He is not protected in any way. Parliament has passed the legislation, and Parliament has transmitted it to you. I haven't read the specific wording of the orders sought by the applicants in the court. I don't think that one of the orders they are seeking is to restrain Parliament from transmitting the bill to the President for his assent. Even if it is one of the applications they have made, it is for Parliament to suffer the consequences of defying the court. As for the President, when he receives the transmitted documents, he doesn't commit any offense, he doesn't violate any constitutional provision, he just received the document. Then he can act, according to the laid out processes that the Constitution sets out for dealing with bills that are presented to him for his assent. I think on this occasion, the President really, didn't do the right thing.
We are hearing that Parliament is trying to do a tit for tat by refusing to approve the President's minister nominees unless he goes ahead to take action on the bill. Has that information come to your attention?
No such information has come to my attention. But I know that the President has his nominees before Parliament. I know that the committee finished its work on it. I also know that one of the MPs, Honorable Roxanne Dafiamapo, went to court because he thinks that the President acted wrongly because his own communication to Parliament indicated that he had, removed those appointees from their various positions. Then in another breath, he then writes to say that he is, reassigning them to a different ministry And that language is wrong, because once you have removed the person from his post, he is no longer available as a minister to be reassigned. And so Dafenoko is counting on that technical point to knock the president off.
So would you also as a house say that you would wait till the court decides on Dafemoko's case before you proceed to approve them or otherwise?
Well, that's for the speaker to decide, because Dafemoko's action is not directed at me, and so it is for speaker to decide, based on the facts before him, whether or not he's going to accede to Dafemoko's application, and whether or not he also interprets our law the same way that the president has interpreted it, and said that once there is an interlocutory application, you must take your hands off. If the speaker also decides that is how he also sees the law, then of course he must also conduct himself the way that the president has conducted himself.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you very much.
That's Muhammad Yaga. He's Member of Parliament, Boku Central, speaking to us on the seeming standoff between the Jubilee House and Parliament House on the anti-LGBTQI bill. Meanwhile, we do know that Parliament has the lawyer for Parliament has issued an affidavit in opposition to that writ that has been brought by Richard Sky, journalist and lawyer, against the Attorney General and the House of Parliament. We've seen that writ affidavit in opposition from Parliament House, which is the first respondent in this matter. Let's remain in Parliament, because some MPs have some other issues that they are dealing with, having to do specifically with health matters.
The majority members on the Health Committee of Parliament say the flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Mahama's description of the government's Agenda 111 policy as unrealistic is an attack on the 2020 manifesto of the NDC. John Mahama recently asserted that the construction of 80 district hospitals at the same time was not feasible. The majority caucus, however, say the NDC manifesto proposed the construction of district hospitals in all districts, thereby revealing the disingenuity of Mr. Mahama. The chairman of the Health Committee of Parliament, Dr. Eyewitness, while addressing journalists, outlined the government's successes in rolling out the intervention.
All this as over-ambitious. If you call this as unrealistic, then it is a sheer attack on the manifesto of the NDC. That the NDC's manifesto was over-ambitious, unrealistic, full of lies and deceit. Because if you say what you mean, and you mean what you say, you don't forget it at any point in time. Your boys in your party would go and make politics out of it, but you, the leader, you don't go that route because of the manifesto. And if you see, we in the majority have always had this, and we said we'll allow the NDC minority to make their politics. But we would wait for the day that the leader would speak on this issue and we'll come at him. So, if you said you were going to do 88 hospitals, and MPP said was going to be 111, then what made this unrealistic and overambitious?
Dr. Eyewitness is chairman of the Health Committee of Parliament. Meanwhile, the ranking member on the Health Committee, Kwabena Mensah-Akando, says the facts available suggest that the government would not be able to complete the 111 hospitals proposed by the government by the end of the year 2025, affirming comments made by the flag bearer of the NDC, John Mahama.
Ladies and gentlemen, the presidency is not a joke. And therefore, as a president, when you speak, you must be as close as possible to the truth or the facts. We are all human beings. A certain margin of error is allowed. The president said that he is going to construct 111 hospitals, hence the name Agenda 111. Not 80 hospitals, not 40 hospitals. He is going to construct 111 hospitals. In 2022, Sona, when he appeared on the floor of the House, he said he was going to deliver the 111 hospitals before he hands over as president in January 2025. That's what the president said. And that is what His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is saying, that, wait a minute, I have been a president before, and this is overly ambitious, and you cannot simply do that before 2025. And The facts available to us on the committee support that.
That was the ranking member on the Health Committee, Kwabena Mensah Kando.
This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We are coming to you from our studios in Adabraka in Accra. If you're just joining us, the Ghana Armed Forces has issued a statement saying that one of his helicopters made an emergency landing at Bonsokrom near Agona Nkwanta. Community members have reported that the aircraft actually crashed and that some persons sustained injuries. One person at least was unconscious and taken to hospital. The Air Force says all 21 passengers made up of staff of the Ghana National Gas Company and air crew were conducting routine offshore power line inspections of the Atuabo gas plant when the incident occurred, and that there were no fatalities. When we come back, talking about power lines, ECG has been in the news for the past weeks or so. There have been calls for the ECG to issue a load shedding timetable to guide us. For instance, this morning, my power went off exactly at 6 o'clock. Now, PURC is instructing ECG to publish a timetable to guide Ghanaians. We'll be telling you more. Please stay.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens. Recoded to do more with ease. The enhanced GCB mobile app. Download now from Google Play Store or Apple Store for all your transactions. Smooth, safe, and secure. Chale? Tap the app. You don't need to have an account to upgrade. GCB mobile app. Recoded to do more. Upgrade your style. GCB Bank. Your bank for life.
KB, aka Kubeboga, now drives a Bugatti. He can even travel by road from Accra to London. Oh, wow. KB's source of wealth is agriculture. Yes, coconut business. After losing his bank job, he started supplying coconuts at events. Now, he owns large coconut plantations and employs many young people. Charlie, we all need to trust the process, because hope day.
There has never been a better time to enter into agribusiness. Take a bold step today with the Ghana Grows program, because every step pays. Ejuma Wokrom, Ghana Grows, Hope Day, an initiative of the MasterCard Foundation in partnership with Springboard Roadshow Foundation and Limehouse.
Ladies and gentlemen, Telecel is here! Telecel, connecting energies. Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM, broadcasting from Adabraka in Accra. Now, let's talk about the power sector. The past few weeks, we've been having challenges with power supply. ECG has been giving its own explanations. It appears the regulator of that sector, the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, has been observing things, and today it is out with a statement. Let's speak to Eric Obute. He's the head of research and corporate affairs at PURC. Sir, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you very much, Mary.
Tell us why PURC intervened in this matter. Is it that someone petitioned you, or you were following the news and decided to act? Was it a meeting? Was it a press conference? What kind of intervention have you taken today?
Thank you very much, Maru. We'll be monitoring all that is going on in the power sector, especially the electricity supply. And we also monitored what ECG has put out there. We've had discussions with ECG. They told us about certain things that they were doing in place. So we decided that just to have this verbal discussion, we should rather put it on paper and ask them for certain things which will aid us to do our work more effectively.
So what are you asking them to do, or what are the key issues you have raised in relation to the power sector?
Well, one of them is to do with the disbursement of funds from the Catch Water Fund mechanism. The Catch Water Fund mechanism is a system whereby monies that are collected in the sector are distributed among the sector players from generators through transmission all the way through to distribution. So that mechanism is not found to be working effectively. So we told them to give us an update on that mechanism and to comply by the mechanism, the way it's supposed to be distributed by March 25 this month. And we've also said to them that there are two orders that we take. One of them is to do with the cash waterfall mechanism, that they should comply with that. And then the other one is to do with the transformers that they said they are overloaded in the system that ECG said they are replacing. And if you give us more information on that and some of the issues pertaining to the operational matters that ECG itself has come up with. So these are some of the things that we are looking at.
There's something on page 3, is paragraph 2.2, and it says, in respect of operational matters, detailed incident reports of power outages for the period January 1, 2024 to date, and also copies of ECG publications informing the general public of power outages from 1st January 2024 to date. Tell us more on what you are seeking there when you made that instruction order.
Well, ECG said they have had cause to be able to repair some of these machines that they are overloaded. So we said, okay, give us those incidents that occurred. Give us the incidents, give us the reports of some of those incidents that occurred from January 1 up to date. And then we're also saying that all the publications, said they have made publications informing the citizenry, the general public, that look, power will be out at this point in time. We said we've not seen that, so give us copies of all those ECG publications that you say you've made to the general public. Feed the commission with some of this information that you said you've given out to the public. So those are some of the things we are asking for.
The one that would interest many has to do with the load shedding timetable. What have you said about that?
Well, it has to do with ECG said they are changing 630 of their overloaded transformers. So those 630 overloaded transformers are the ones that we are referring to, that they should give us timelines and the duration for the injection of those transformers. Because if you say you are changing the transformers in those particular areas, for instance, if you are changing transformers in, let's say, Dansoman, when are you going to start off with the transformer, the change of the transformers? How long will they last? From what time to what time? Give us something so that people can plan their lives around it. If there's going to be any load management for that particular period, give us that timetable for that particular, the change of those transformers so that people can plan their lives around it.
Are you speaking specifically to areas that are affected, or you want it to be a national calendar?
For now, the one we are speaking to is to do with the overloaded transformers that ECG spoke to. That those are the ones that are being changed, and for which reason they are having some power outages in some of those localities. So we are speaking directly to those particular transformers which are being changed. What
timelines have you given the ECG to do this?
We've given them different timelines. For instance, they want to do with Order 1, which is to do with the cash waterfall mechanism. We've given them by March 25 of this 2024. They must comply with that one. And then the other orders as well, by April 2nd, we should have complied with those ones.
So these, I understand, are instructions that must be obeyed?
Yes, please.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us. But while we are doing that, is there any compensation that you would also recommend to customers who suffered unjustifiably from the unannounced intermittent power outages?
It will all depend on the information that we have and the investigations that the Commission conducts, after which we can now make a reasonable judgment on what to do next. But for now, we are just seeking data from ECG so we can do our own monitoring and investigation before a report is put out there to the commissioners.
Very well. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
That's Eric Obute. He's the head of research and corporate affairs at the Public Regulatory Commission, PURC. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We're broadcasting from Adabraka in Accra. Tema Oil Refinery never ceases to be out of the news headlines, either for not working or because of worker agitations and several challenges. The latest information we have today Sounds like good news, but I'm not sure. We'll be speaking to the workers in a bit, because we already told that they have some disagreements, but we've seen information from the presidency making some announcements to Tema Oil Refinery. So the statement issued by Nana Bediato Asante, who is secretary to the president, and addressed to the Minister of Energy, says reconstitution of the board of Tema Oil Refinery Company Limited. The letter says, in view of the reconstitution of the board of Tema Oil Refinery Company Limited, the president has nominated the following persons. 1. Mr. Leon Kendon Apentin. 2. Mr. Kofi Mokumbi Tego. 3. Dr. Antoinette Chibudako. 4. Mrs. Edith Sparagrant. 5. Nana Ekia Bakuma Prempe. 6. Mrs. Lorraine Crab Abebio. 7. Mr. Joseph Mensah Brown. 8. Mr. Alfred George Thompson. 9. Mr. Paul Kweku Che Ofori. 10. Mr. Kwame Bafo. And 11. Mr. Herbert Ato Morrison. The president has also nominated Mr. Leon Kendon Apentin as the chairman of the board and Mr. Kofi Mokumbi Tego as the managing director of the company. Kindly take the necessary steps to give immediate effect to these nominations in accordance with the Companies Act 2019, Act 992, and regulations of the company. So that is what the president has done, an announcement and some nominations there. Let's speak to the workers of Tema Oil Refinery. Bernard Osu is chairman of the General Transport and Chemical Workers Union at TOR. Mr. Osu, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you very much for having me, my brother.
What do you make of this announcement from the presidency about the new bosses at TOR?
First of all, this appointment is very disappointing. And the National Union of General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union, we are not happy. And we are so much disappointed in the president for appointing Leon Apentin as the chairman of the TOR board.
Why?
Well, this is the same gentleman who has disgraced the government by leading the stinky Torenko Tepel deal, which has not seen the light of day, which is smelled with fraudulent activities. That's even the special prosecutor has said that they should, be investigated. And the union wrote extensively to the to the presidency, and even hold meetings with the presidency to ensure that 3 members of the board should be sort of removed. But we got up this morning and we are hearing, or we are seeing, that the president has called off our bluff and has appointed Leon Apentin as the chairman, as the board chairman of TOR. It's very disappointing. Seriously.
So it means that you would have difficulties working with him?
Very difficulty working with him, because all the brouhaha, all the problems that is associated with TOR, he's the one that is spearheading it.
How about the other members of the board who have been named and the MD? You are fine with those?
We don't have any issue with them. But the Leon Apentin is the one who was the chairman of the infrastructure committee of TOR that supervised these Torenko, Tepel, this brouhaha that happened at TOR. He was the one that was in charge. So how do you appoint such person as the board chairman? A person who was not able to see to what you call a contract to look at. If you go through the contract, you can see that, look, this is a contract that has a lot of fraudulent things. And we've made this thing to the public. For instance, forming a company and giving shares of the company to staff of the company. Forming a company within a state of just 1 year, you form 4 companies just to come and take over TOR. So for us, we think that it is true what we're saying, that the government or the presidency are in support of this Torenko deal. They've proven us right by appointing Mr. Apentin as the chairman of the TOR board. And we are very disappointed. And we can say it without missing words that there is nothing good going to come out of this whole board.
Wow, that sounds like a doomsday prophecy.
I am not, but what we have seen over time, and for him to be the board chairman who is going to supervise the entire board, we don't have any confidence in his this board.
Will you go to engage the president on this decision of his?
Respectfully, we've written to him. He has made his deputy chief of staff engage us. We've met. We've had several engagements, and we're thinking that we're bringing new, fresh ideas into the fold of Tor, because Tor is struggling, and we think that we'll get new, fresh hands to be in the place. But look at what he has done. He's just telling us that, look, we should go to hell. He's the president, and he can do whatever he likes. And there's nothing that we can say for now.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, sir.
I'm most grateful.
That's Bernard Owusu. He's chairman of the General Transport and Chemical Workers Union at the Tema Oil Refinery. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Let's do some other stories before we go to business news, and then point blank, my guest is already in studio. Joe Anochi is the Director General of the National Communications Authority. We'll be talking to him about the internet challenges. Some people call it shutdown. But before then,
A former military officer and security analyst, Colonel Festus Obuaji, retired, says there should be no cause for alarm following a viral video of some Ghanaians allegedly joining the Russian army. The video, which features 5 men supposedly in a foreign land speaking Twi, a Ghanaian language, has sparked concerns about potential security implications for Ghana amidst the Russia and Ukraine war. However, in an interview with Citi News, the security specialist assuaged the fears of Ghanaians, urging them to refrain from perceiving anything associated with Russia as dangerous.
We must be careful in this conversation that we do not bring in this East-West dichotomy, that anything that is West is good, anything that is East is bad. And that because Ghanaian citizens have joined the Russian army, or let's say Wagner, then it's a topical issue. And that when Ghanaians join the U.S. Army, as I've cited, then it is not an issue. We need to be very, very careful about that. Second or last, the question of motivation. It could be economic reasons. It could be unemployment. It could also be just sheer motivation. There are people who are looking for adventure, for instance. And if they think that being in the Ghana Army or not being in the Ghana Army, but they don't get that kind of excitement in the work that they are doing and the opportunities to serve in the Russian Army or Wagner or whatever it is, then they are likely to leave and go and join.
Colonel Festus Obuaji is a security analyst. The police have arrested one person in connection with the murder of Dr. Christopher Edubuahin. The police explained that it received a complaint from relatives of the deceased that he had been found dead in his room under suspicious circumstances. A team of police investigators and crime scene experts were immediately deployed to the scene to commence investigations leading to the arrest of the suspect. The police add that the suspect is in custody and will be put before the court while investigations continue.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You know, Papa, see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa! Bobo, so how's your engine now? It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Cause and you can feel better energy. Can't touch this. Actually, guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that? Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched. Sancho Panzapa. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with 8 age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Chairman. Hey, Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
Ladies and gentlemen, Telecel is here!
Telecel, connecting energies.
Easter is just around the corner, and Volta Serene Hotel has something extraordinary planned just for you from March 29th through to 1st of April 2024. Bobo celebrations and unforgettable moments await you. Our 2-night package starts at just 4,400 Ghana cedis for couples and 7,150 Ghana cedis for a family of 3 or 4. Looking for an extended stay? Our 3-night package is available at 5,604 Ghana cedis 50 pesos for couples and 9,350 Ghana cedis for a family of 3 or 4. Book your escape now on 054 153 9867 or 020 503 8763. It's Easter at Volta Serene Hotel. Come feel the serene touch.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News, brought to you by GCB Bank PLC. GCB Personal Loan, make that big move and dream a reality. My name is Inusaf. Let's settle for the details. The Ghana Revenue Authority says it has extended the deadline for the filing and payment of withholding taxes for February 2024 to Wednesday, March 20, 2024. The nation's revenue collection body attributed the rationale behind the extension to the nationwide recent disruptions in internet connectivity. In a public notice issued by the Domestic Tax Revenue Division of GRA, it urged taxpayers to file their withholding taxes, which include value-added tax deducted from suppliers operating the VAT substandard rate, payment for the supply or use of goods, and payment for the supply of any works. The International Monetary Fund has insisted that its confidence in the economic prospects of Ghana lies in government's determination in undertaking structural reforms to fix existing fiscal and monetary policy imbalances. The IMF remains optimistic about this growth trajectory, insisting that Ghana's economy holds significant potential for development and resilience. The fund's endorsement comes amidst ongoing negotiations between Ghana and its bilateral creditors and Eurobond holders for debt restructuring. Kristalina Georgieva is the managing director of the IMF.
We have seen strong performance under the program, and the great news is that reforms are starting to bear fruits. And this is my last point. What is it that we assess as of now? The government has adjusted policies appropriately, launched a comprehensive debt restructuring, and initiated wide-ranging reforms. As a result, signs of economic stabilization are emerging. We projected inflation to go down to around 27% from the high of nearly 54%, and it actually is down to 23%. In other words, again, performance is better than we expected. Both the fiscal and the external positions have improved, and exchange rate volatility has eased. There is still work to be done. We need to continue on that path to rebuilding confidence, fully restoring macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability.
Managing Director of the IMF, Kristalina Georgieva. The Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana is proposing a temporal reversal to the manual system of goods clearance at the ports while efforts are underway to restore the widespread network disruptions. The association is confident that the initiative would reduce extra payment charges at the ports. Executive Secretary for the association, Samson Asaki Awingobit, tells Citi Business News it will be necessary for digital port operations to resume after the network hitches are fully restored.
Before computer came to Ghana, before internet and data issues came to Ghana, we were working. And so what we were working, what were we doing? We were using analog type. We were using books and receipts. I think we can go back to receipting. If customs knows that they know the HS code of every commodity, they know the percentage that they use to assess you. They know that if you have a container that has 2,700 packs of poultry chicken cartons in it, they know the HS code, they know the rate that they calculate from the carton times, cartons in the container, they collect your money. And so you can proceed to take your cargo. But when the system is back, they will flee the system. That is the way to go. And if they know the duty, they should be able to tell the bank that even though your system is down, it's this unit, Ghana Commercial Bank that is receiving taxes for on behalf of the state, EcoBank, and then other banks. Tell them that if you receive it, issue a receipt. When the system is back, they can restore it. They can feed the computer.
Samson Asakia Wingobit is the Executive Secretary for the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana. The Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications has lamented the challenges faced by operators in significantly reducing charges for consumers, citing the complex price buildup in the industry. While suggesting a reconsideration of the electronic transfer levy, the Chamber highlights the capital-intensive nature of the telecommunications sector as a key factor contributing to current charges. The Chief Executive of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, Engineer Ken Ashigbe, spoke on a panel discussion organized by GIZ Trade Hub, focusing on e-commerce here in Accra.
The cost of transfers. So you see, you talk about same banks. Again, look at the structure of mobile money. Within mobile money is a lot of SMEs. If you decide that we should stop charging, what would happen is that the over 450,000 agents who are employed will all not have anything to do. It is the models that we're currently running. Our model is heavily agency based. So you need to pay that agent to a certain time. Who is an MSME? You need to pay everything. So you see, no, you see, you're looking at only yourself. Again, when you look at you and your mother, look at the majority of the people who are at the bottom of the pyramid. Most of them, their transaction, they go to the agents. So what else again do you think the charges are? The charges that are charged by the operators is what you use in paying the agents.
That was the Chief Executive of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, Engineer Ken Ashigbe. Stakeholders in the tech space are pushing for the provision of adequate resources and long-term financing for development infrastructure to nurture an AI-infused workforce of the future. According to the president of Ashesi University, Patrick Awuah, this will propel economic growth on the African continent and equip the youth for the future. Speaking at the AI Summit in Accra, President of Ashesi University, Patrick Awuah, reiterated the need to balance engagements with AI as the benefits outweigh the dangers.
If we really want to advance, we talk about human capital, we have to educate everyone, and we have to educate them well. It has to be a high-quality education. And high-quality education is expensive, and governments in low and middle-income countries are constantly strapped for funding to do all that they need to do, infrastructure, roads, water, all of that. So really to get this right, we need long-term financing. When I say long-term, like 30 years financing that is affordable for governments to educate everyone. And sort of have the faith that in 30 years, if we've educated everybody really well, our economies will rise to such an extent that we can pay back that debt. But if the financing is expensive, then you're stuck. You end up with situations like what we're in now in Ghana, where you go into debt that is not sustainable, and you're just stuck. So I would say that it would be really wonderful if the global community could come to a consensus.
Patrick Awuah is the president of Ashesi University. That's all for City Business News on Eyewitness News. The business news on Eyewitness News is brought to you by GCB Bank PLC. GCB Personal Loan, make that big move and dream a reality. My name is Enusafo. Up next is Point Blank.
Hello, Linda. You won't believe what I am planning next. I want to start my postgraduate degree, buy a car, and build my dream home. But you know what's stopping me?
What's that, Mike?
Money, oh. That be my biggest wahala.
Oh, you are sorted, Cry. With a GCB Big Move personal loan promo, you can borrow up to a whopping 400,000 Ghana cedis at a significantly reduced interest rate in less than 24 hours.
Like, seriously? How do I qualify?
Yes, it's available to all GCB salary account holders. Plus, you get a 2-month grace period before you start to pay back.
Susket, I'm opening an account with GCB No.
Get a personal loan of up to 400,000 Ghana cedis at a significantly reduced interest rate in less than 24 hours. Call 0800-422-422 or visit your nearest GCB branch today to fund your next big move as we celebrate 70 years of greatness. T's and C's apply. GCB Bank, your bank for life.
Ghana must grow.
KB, aka Kubeboga, now drives a Bugatti. He can even travel by road from Accra to London. Oh, wow. KB's source of wealth is agriculture. Yes, coconut business. After losing his bank job, he started supplying coconuts at events. Now, he owns large coconut plantations and employs many young people. Charlie, we all need to trust the process, because hope day.
There has never been a better time to enter into agribusiness. Take a bold step today with the Ghana Grows program because every step pays. Ejuma Wokrum, Ghana Grows, Hope Day, an initiative of the MasterCard Foundation in partnership with Springboard Roadshow Foundation and Limehouse.
City 97.3. Accra.
Your Papa see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa! Bobo, so how your engine now? It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Cause and you. Can't feel better energy. Can't touch this. Actually, guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that? Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz. And he switched. Sancho Panza. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Chairman. Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer. The other day, I visited Kweku at his spunky new office to congratulate him on opening his business. And man, was I impressed. The business is just moving quick. The sales, customers, everything is just working seamlessly. The secret? He said,
it's MTN Business Broadband. In this fast-paced environment, we need fast and reliable internet to support all business types. No laggy online meetings, great download and upload speeds, impeccable business management systems, all inclusive. I mean, you can have it all.
Sharp! I signed on immediately.
To enable your business stay ahead and stay connected, make sure you're signed on to the best internet made just for businesses. MTN Business Broadband. Sign up today on broadband.mtn.com.gh and manage your account on my MTN app. Call 0244 308 111 for more information. We are good together everywhere you go.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
This is Point Blank on Eyewitness News. My name is Umaru Sanda Amado. Tonight on Point Blank, we're talking about the internet that you're struggling to access. Since last week, we've been reporting to you, and indeed you've been witnesses yourselves, to the challenges with internet provision on your mobile devices, on your computers. Your emails have been a problem. Almost all websites went down, or at least became inaccessible. So to help us understand what the state of affairs is and what the way forward is, we've invited in studio the Director General of the National Communications Authority, Dr. Joe Anochi, for a conversation on our internet problems. Doc, you're welcome to Point Blank.
Thank you, Umaru.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very great.
I was saying that when your regulator comes around in your studio, you're careful because it's like you have a hacksaw, you can cut our transmitter, it goes off, so I'm careful. I hope you're fine. Yeah.
We are fine. We really don't do that. I appreciate you having me. Good evening to all your listeners.
Good evening to you too.
Good evening from the men and women of the NCA.
We appreciate your presence here tonight, sir. Thank you so much for taking time to come and answer some of the questions that we have. So, What exactly happened to our internet last week? And if you could just come closer so that, yes. Yeah.
Well, thank you for the question, actually. So to begin with, let's look at the entire internet value chain, right? The people that make up the internet community. So I'll try and break it into smaller groups so that we know exactly which group.
Okay.
So we begin with the users of internet. Usually they will have mobile or fixed internet. A mobile will be when you have a mobile phone or tablet. Fixed is when you have a fixed internet in your home, fiber to the home.
The one that's on the telephone.
Exactly, microwave.
Yeah.
So these are mobile users. So if you are a mobile user, you probably have a service from MTN, Vodafone, MTN, Telecel, or AT.
Okay.
So MTN, Telecel, AT, they take all your traffic of all the users, mobile and fixed, and then they dump it to another entity, which we call them the submarine, so the subsea cable providers. The subsea cable providers also aggregate all the traffic coming from the mobile network operators, coming from ISPs, coming from what we call terrestrial fiber providers. And then they take this to the internet community, usually going across the subsea fiber cable to usually Portugal or London, where they will also dump the traffic to the internet gateways, the internet exchanges. It is the combination of all these internet exchanges that make what we call the internet backbone. So you see there is a segment. So you take you as...
So micro units goes to a larger depositor who then takes it to a bigger transporter who takes it to Europe.
Exactly.
And this happens within microseconds.
And this happens within microseconds. And all these subsystems have been there. The submarine cable providers have been around. Sat3 have been around more than 20 years. There's MTN, AT, Telecel, they've all been around. But because that segment has always been, stable, we don't hear of them. So on Thursday, in the morning of Thursday, we all woke up. In Ghana here, we have 4 of these submarine cable landing providers. So they take the traffic from, again, like I say, from the mobile network operators, from ISPs, from broadband wireless access provided, from terrestrial fibers. So on Thursday, we woke up, and unfortunately, they all had some issues. I'm saying issues because we haven't definitively determined exactly what happened. Okay. So, they were, in a more technical term, they say they had an outage, which means they could not pass the traffic that it was coming from the MNOs, coming from ISPs, coming from all the places that they receive traffic. They could not take that traffic to the internet community.
So internet was not moving. There was a blockade.
There was a blockade, but not for all of them, depending on the setup. And I'm sure we'll get it.
Let me just understand. So what did this also affect voice calls, or it was just data?
It affected data calls that are going out. So if you are doing voice call over data, so if you're doing
WhatsApp call, that will be affected. Exactly. But otherwise, a regular number and make a call, that was not affected.
2G call, because that doesn't go across. That's more internal in the country. So those were not affected.
Now, when that happened, which cables were affected? And we are told it's between Cote d'Ivoire and Senegal. How is it that something that happened between Cote d'Ivoire and Senegal is affecting me in Abelinkwe in Accra?
That's a good question. So, Omaro, so what happened is these cable providers, there are 4 of them. And 3 of them actually originate from South Africa, going across the coast, the west coast, all the way to Portugal or to London. One of them, one actually originates from Nigeria. So whenever there's a cut, the cut or the outage occurred in Abidjan. So from geographically, if you look at a cable, assuming you are going from Accra to Kumasi, and there's a cut in the cable, then depending on where you are, you lose connectivity. We just happen to be the south of where the cut occurs.
Okay.
So we were completely detached from the internet community.
So what happened over there is what's affecting us. Do we, as of now, know what exactly caused it? So we've heard of a cut, but how? Okay, this cable is what, below the sea?
It is on the seabed.
On the seabed, which means the bottommost part of the sea,
On
where
the
the
seabed.
Titanic is lying.
Yes, on the seabed.
What could have happened there?
It's I don't want to be speculative. That's the thing, because they've actually dispatched vessels. I'm sure when they get to the vicinity, they will be able to pinpoint. But it is certainly because traffic is not going through. There's an issue. Was it actually a cut, or was it that the cables are dislodged? It's very difficult to tell.
But it is set. They are certain that the location it happened, they know. That's why they've given us a Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire thing.
Exactly.
Because otherwise we'll be on a wild goose chase. We have to patrol the whole line from Accra to what? To Portugal. That would be a long journey.
Yeah, there are means for testing.
Okay,
so you are able
they are setting.
Yes, they are able to test from their cable landing station. So if you are main one, you could be here, and depending on the tools that you are using.
Are these cables state-owned or privately owned?
These are all privately owned.
So these are private companies doing their business and selling internet to, or giving us a platform, which platform is now compromised. So we have to tell them that please fix your mess so that we can have our staff back. That's simple terms. That's what it means.
Exactly.
Okay.
You don't have to tell them. It's a business also. So they don't want to be down to
be losing money.
Yes, they don't want to be down.
Do they have a plan of action? When are they going to send a vessel there? When the vessel will reach there? When it will finish the work? Do we know?
No, as of our meeting with them a couple of days ago, they all indicated that a vessel have been identified. Usually once the vessels are identified, they have to go and pick the parts that they suspect they will use to do their repairs. And then a key thing there is you need a permit. So you need a permit, because in Ivory Coast territorial waters, you have to get permit from there. Once the permit is received, then the vessel will now take off from Portugal or from UK. I believe it's coming from UK, and to the location.
Is Ghana the only country affected?
No, all the countries in the West Coast. So I think it's from Liberia, from Ivory Coast, Ghana, Togo, Benin, Nigeria, Cameroon, because all these.
So all the countries beyond Cote d'Ivoire headed southwards. So it will go all the way to South Africa. If you're looking at the map of Africa, so Angola, all those countries on the coast.
Exactly, but except that maybe some of the countries at the south might have different other cables.
Okay. So, but are the cables all one way? Are they all coming from north to south, or we have some cables from south to north?
All the cables, 3 of them, in respect to the 4, 3 of them coming from South Africa and going to Portugal.
Okay.
One of them comes from Nigeria, going to the north.
But the ones that are affected are the ones from South Africa to Portugal.
So the 3 that are affected are the one coming from South Africa.
And that's what's carrying our load?
That's what's carrying our load.
Okay. Has this happened before?
It's happened that 1 or 2 will have a cut. I believe last year, Wax and Sat3 had a cut, but that was even in the Congos, so it didn't even affect us, right? Yeah.
So in that instance, what happened? Do we know what the cause was at the time?
Usually, I think that one was some fishing vessel that actually went out there to do fishing, and
so the anchor maybe hit it.
It seemed like it.
But the thing is far below, so I'm just wondering who could have gone there, because I'm not sure anybody would go that low. I mean, to the bed of the sea to go and compromise it.
And not only that,
this could be a national security matter. It could be someone trying to jeopardize our system. Is that possible?
Well, there's every possibility. But if you think about it, Omar, now these 4 cables, right, in Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, ACE, one of them is called ACE. That's the one closer. It's about 100, and I believe it's about 118 kilometers or so. Between that cable and the next cable, is about 11 kilometers.
You're referring to the width between them,
Exactly.
the space between them. So
between-
they are not even close to each
Oh,
other.
yeah. And just to put it in context, 11 kilometers is from the general post office to Accra Mall.
So from Accra Central to Accra Mall,
Exactly.
that's the distance between the two cables.
That is the
and yet both were affected.
Not only that, the distance between that cable, SAT3, and the next cable, which is main 1, is allegedly to be about 67 kilometers, which is like from Accra Mall to Suhum.
And all three were compromised at the same time.
Not only that, I'm not done. The distance between main 1 and Wax, it's also 77 kilometers. This is Suhum to Nkoko. So it is very difficult to determine exactly what happened.
It's not one bulk of cables that was affected at one particular, because the thinking we have was that there was this one big cable like the one the Ghana Water Company uses to pass water to our houses, and someone decides to use an axe to chop it off. It's not that easy.
No, one of the requirements for doing this cable is making sure you have a good geographic diversity, right? Diversity. So if you have diversity, you want to make sure you keep enough distance between them, right? And that's why you have such wide distances between them.
Since this happened, let's come locally now. As NCA, what have you been doing?
I'm glad you asked this question. But let's go even before this happened, Amaro. In 2020, maybe around April, one of the things we do at NCA is we engage our stakeholders, be it mobile network operators, broadband, wireless, terrestrial fiber, cable landing. We engage all of them. Now, when we did this engagement, we're doing deep dive. We're doing deep dive analysis to ensure we understand the architecture. Are there any issues? Are there redundancy issues? And when we came out from those meetings that the MNOs were mostly connected, either 1 or 2. By then, there were actually 5 cable landing. Right. Now, technically, it's not an issue because you are dealing with bandwidth. If you're a mobile network operator, do you have enough bandwidth to carry your customers to the internet? Right.
That's what matters.
That's all that matters. So if one cable landing provider can give you all the bandwidth, you go with it. But for redundancy and availability and continuity of service purposes, so we wrote to them mandating that every one of them should have a minimum, and the keyword there is a minimum of 3. Minimum keyword of 3. Beyond that, last year also, I think in October, and I have documentation to show you. In October, we met all the cable landing and MNOs. We met them, review the architecture, review their.
So you asked them to diversify.
We've done that. We did all.
Did they listen? Was it an advice or an instruction?
It was a directive.
Which means they were supposed to.
They were supposed to.
Okay, so MTN should be at least on 3.
And MTN.
Telecel should be at least on 3.
Exactly.
And 80.
Exactly.
Did they do it?
They did.
All 3 of them.
All 3 of them did. Impressively, all 3 of them did.
So then there shouldn't have been a problem because.
But the problem is, all 4 cables actually went down. But what happened?
So in simple language, you said to them that there may be a possibility of accident. So put your passengers on separate vehicles so that if this vehicle is affected, at least some of your people would be alive.
Exactly.
And then the accident struck all 4 vehicles. Yes. So even though they have put their eggs in different baskets, all baskets have been damaged. That's in simple terms.
That's not only that.
This is witchcraft, dog. It's witchcraft. It's not technical.
Well, listen to this. I even asked a rhetorical question. What's the possibility that all 5 of these cable will actually go down?
You asked them.
I asked them. I didn't have any evidence. It's
no
me
suspicion, nothing.
Yeah, exactly. It was not based on any science or anything. I asked, and everyone laughed. Oh, it won't go down. So right after the meeting, we wrote to them. I'll show you to do that, and they did. But what happened, which is very interesting, was, AT decided that instead of doing at some point, I believe maybe last year or so, instead of doing all 3 of them here in Ghana, they will actually send one of the connections to a neutral cable landing provider in Nigeria over wax. So I think they've got about 10 or 20 gigs, something like that. So that explains why
they are up.
When they were up on the Thursday.
And others are asleep.
Yeah. And MTN also actually had about 70 gig, I believe, for maintaining their cache. So that also gave them a bit of connectivity. But they have volumes, so traffic was still...
So that's why MTN didn't shut down totally.
They didn't shut down totally because I had about 70 gig also going to Nigeria.
But Vodafone now Telecel went down completely.
Telecel, I think at that time they made an arrangement also to jump on another cable to go to Nigeria.
I'm happy you use the word jump on. The recovery plan, how is it going to be like? Do we all have to then go and load ourselves on the Nigerian line because that's a stable and safe one now? Or there are alternatives beyond that?
Well, the good news is, as we speak, AT has been up. This morning, Telecel reported that they were 100% recovered.
100%?
100% recovered, Telecel. Just as I sat here in this chair, I just saw a message from MTN also that they make progressive increases. So I think it's getting better.
But your outfit had told us that we should wait for 5 weeks.
For the cables to be repaired.
Oh, for the cable. Okay, so it means that the cables can remain damaged, but we can get our internet back.
And why is that? Because there are 2 submarine providers in West Africa, right? In Nigeria, and then also one in Lomé, that were not affected by this cable cut or cable issue. So all the traffic in this country are being piped over to them. So they are actually essentially, that cable is essentially carrying the traffic from Ghana.
Doc, the minister was in Parliament yesterday, your minister, yes. And she said that we should see this as a blessing in disguise. It makes sense, but can we as a country, can we create internet? We can't, right? So what can we do?
That's a good question. Certainly, governments do not participate in cable operation, subsea cable operation. It's very capital intensive. So typically, every cable, subsea cable, is operated by a consortium of international telecommunication providers and some deep pocket private entities. So you won't see a government entity, being part of that consortium. Right?
So we cannot have it as a state intervention where NCA will decide to invest in internet, or the government will decide to invest.
I don't see how any government. I mean, I don't believe there's any government, that is actually doing it, unless maybe it's one of these, countries that there's no private. There's no private sector.
But that means it leaves us vulnerable.
Not necessarily. So what is happening now?
Because everything is in the hand of some guy doing his business under the seabed.
Exactly. But it's not only in Ghana.
And I have said jokingly that a shark may have gone to bite the cable, and that's why.
That's very rare, actually.
I know. I'm not sure if it's even possible, but if that happens, then everything just goes down. Can't we have... I mean, we are independent, and yet we are dependent.
Yes. But tomorrow, here's the thing. About 97 to 99% of all internet traffic in the world goes through these cables. So this will be, internet, basic internet, voice data, sensitive national security.
Everything goes through them.
It's about 97, 99%.
Can we suspect hackers?
As in cybersecurity.
Yeah, what happened now?
It is very difficult for that to happen by virtue of the way cybersecurity works. Certainly not on the seabed, because that cable, in order for cybersecurity to happen, you have to have a presence of the internet protocol. Within the cable infrastructure itself, the only place that they have any IP-related things going on is what we call the cable landing stations, where the cable land. But even those, they use it for management. For the cable itself on the seabed, there's no IP-related place for anyone to hack.
So but if you know that cutting it shuts down countries, that's a bargaining power.
But that will not be
considering that we have
cybersecurity.
piracy happening on the,
Exactly.
those
Those
West
do
African coast. There could be targets in that.
Exactly, but that will not be, a cybersecurity. There could be a cybersecurity event at the cable landing, but if that will have occurred by now, we will have gotten a solution to that. In fact, that's one reason why in October last year we brought all of them, and even if you look at the subject, we said cybersecurity operational readiness, and we went through all this and to make sure we understand where are we vulnerable, and we realized not the cable on the seabed.
Doc, so if by sea we are struggling, why don't we go by air? Why don't we have our internet coming by air?
So we will go to that, but one of the things
and when I say air, I'm referring to satellites. Yes.
So, but before we get to that point, a point here is we will have to look at the way we are terminating these cables, even in the whole West Africa. Because right now, as I told you, pretty much all the traffic are running on top. Right. So one of the NCA planned we will do is requiring all the cable, all the MNOs to at least have one connection to a neighboring country on a cable that is not in Ghana.
Okay.
So at least that
you diversify.
Yep.
In fact, someone sent me a message that I have to read to you. It's similar to what you've just said. Most of the new traffic coming in to fill the gap is from the Google cable called Equino. The person says for 2 years, they were begging Ghana to land the cable here. We refused or we failed to accept. They went to land in Togo. Today, we are relying on them. Imagine if we had landed it here, our recovery would have been faster.
So that is not entirely what actually happened. Okay. We can get into that conversation another. But
did they ask to land their cable here?
No, we actually gave a cable landing licenses to a local Ghanaian company to land Equiano.
And what happened?
And for some reason, between them and Google, they couldn't agree on terms, which was beyond NCA. But
so it wasn't that you refused?
No, we gave them licenses. There is a local Ghanaian company. I won't mention the name that have a license.
It'll be fair if you mention it because this comment is out there, and it's fair that you let the people know that I gave it to company
I think it's
A.
a public. If they want to, they can write to NCA.
But because you're on a public platform, if you give it to the public, we will know so that we don't blame you.
I'm telling you that there was a local Ghanaian company.
Okay, I'll bring an RTR question to you
we'll give it to you.
Okay,
yes.
No problem.
Yeah.
Going satellites, just 2 or 3 months ago, you had said we should not go Starlink because you have not licensed them and all of that.
Yeah.
On hindsight, do you think you should have quickly jumped on the Elon Musk vessel so that today that would have been our savior?
That's a fantastic question, Amaro, and I know your listeners are waiting for an answer. So here's what happened. When Starlink applied for a license to operate here, there was no framework for the type of license that they're looking for. Are you with me? In simplest term, embassies have different types of visas. Visiting visa, diplomatic visa, and so on. If you go to an embassy and say, okay, I want a license for a sick person, they'll tell you, we don't have that category. So that category...
So we're not ready as a state?
No, that category of licenses was not part of our offering. We were going through that framework. So we needed to actually build that framework. And it takes time. You have to visit, international partners. And then once the framework is ready, you take it to the board for the board to review. At the time they applied, I think the board was even reviewing, right? So you can't grant a license to a framework that doesn't exist.
So you can't accept what you can't manage?
No, there was nothing to, you can't, if you apply for a radio, an FM, we have a framework. You have to have this, you have to have this, you have exactly.
So this was new to us?
It was new to us.
Are we ready for it now?
That has been passed by this NCA board. So we are.
So we can have the Starlink now.
I think the minister actually mentioned that it's now waiting policy approval. So very soon, I expect that it will happen.
Where very soon would mean what? Next week, next
Very
month,
soon.
next year?
I'm pretty sure it's very soon.
Would it be before the year ends?
Oh, certainly. Oh, yeah, certainly.
Final two questions. We have to go.
Yes.
As a consumer, I have lost maybe work, money, and all of those things. Would there be some compensation for me?
That discussion is currently ongoing. In fact, the message that I received from Telecel this morning said, they're looking into that. So I expect that, the MNOs will have to, but each MNO is independent. They'll have to make that decision, and NCA will look at their decision, and then hopefully.
But you cannot insist that they should compensate us.
It would depend on a decision that come from them. Yes.
Last question. People are saying this is dress rehearsal for election 2024, and that you are planning to shut down the internet on election day as a general way by government to rig the election. What do you say to that?
That's completely not true. I mean, if you understand how elections were, in fact, I believe one official of EC even addressed this, that on election day, everything they do is manual. I believe that if you go and do a research. So there's no truth to that. The government won't do that. The government, this is not certain that the government will even.
So we should not be worried about December 7 in relation to internet?
No. Certainly not. Certainly not.
Doc, thank you so much for joining us for Point Blank.
I appreciate you having me.
Thank you so much. That's Dr. Joe Anoche. He is the Director General of the National Communications Authority, speaking to us on your internet issues. My name is Umaru Sanda Amado. I did this with Akosia Ochri, not Enusafu, I beg your pardon. Production by Kobna Wilson, Sami Wiafi, and Bevelyn London. The technical support from Desmond Nyakun. The new media support from Edwin Kwakofi. We return tomorrow at 17:30 GMT or 5:30 PM here on 97.3 Citi FM. Thank you for listening and have a good night.